What's up, Avidity Man back? Welcome to a brand new video, and today let's check out Bandai Namco's semi-new Godzilla -1 Godzilla 2023 action figure. This guy is the articulated lower end, like regular market value Godzilla -1. I'm actually pretty excited about it. Yeah, let's check him out. Alright, so this is the new Bandai Namco Godzilla action figure. They don't really have a figure line for these yet, you know? It's like just the Godzilla -1 posable action figure. This is part of their articulated line that they're doing, and these release in Targets and Walmarts. I saw this one in GameStop. They're releasing all over the place. I think they're also in Japan as well. Starting out, I generally like the box. It's got a pretty good window looking in on Godzilla. I really like the blue coloring going on. There's a lot of that going on behind Godzilla as well, which is pretty sick. As always, I don't love whenever they use this random Bandai Godzilla 54. I don't get why they do that. It's some weird licensing thing. I don't get it. I wish it was Godzilla -1 on there. On the top, you've got the Godzilla logo looking sick. On the side, you do have Godzilla -1, and he looks awesome. I love seeing him there. Here we see Godzilla 2023 Godzilla action figure, figurine articulate Godzilla. On the back, there's the figure line, so you've got the Godzilla, Godzilla 2004, and Kiryu. We did check out and review the Godzilla 2004, but let's get this guy open and see what he's like, and so then we can compare. Ugh! Well, he exploded out of the box. That's kind of cool. I don't remember if the other one had this, but the inside of the packaging, it's got Ghidorah, Mechagodzilla, Mothra, and Rodan in there. That's pretty sick. The old Toho Big Five going on. Anyways, and as for the box, much like the way the Godzilla 2004 came out of the box, he is in pieces. Buddy got sliced clear in half. He's missing the tail. Ah, please, for the love of all that's holy, put me together. Ah. All right, I got you. Let's fix him. Maybe we can get some nice figure ASMR out of it. Let's see. And there he is all together, looking pretty good. First impressions fresh out of the box, I'm very happy with it right off the bat. I think already he's looking pretty good. Godzilla's got the very nice Godzilla -1 silhouette. The figure came together easy. He feels good in hand. It's a nice plastic. It's a harder plastic than like soft vinyl like Bandai Movie Monster series, but on the whole, pretty good stuff. As with the Godzilla 2004, I'm liking the articulation that I'm seeing. This is kind of exactly what you'd want out of a Godzilla -1 figure. This is pretty sick. If I had articulated figures like this as a kid, I'd be so excited. I would have loved to have highly articulated figures that wasn't really sold back when I was a kid, so it's nice to have stuff like this guy. Starting out with the general sculpt, he looks pretty good. It's very Godzilla -1. He's got the Godzilla -1 silhouette nailed. They've done a really good job adapting the dorsal spines. They look pretty good. They're the right shape. I mean, I think technically they could be a little larger if they're going to be Godzilla -1 accurate. This is good by me. Godzilla's face has a fair bit of detailing to it. I like the crown of spines on Godzilla's head. The face itself is sculpted very nicely on there with very strong eyebrows. Going down the neck and into the body, you get the scale patterns going on. One thing with this figure line is I've noticed they're very smooth figures. This is a very smooth figure. And while he does retain all of the core qualities of Godzilla, like you can see the really bulky chest, you can see the ridges running down Godzilla's front section towards his crotch area. The legs look fantastic with really nice grooves and deep skin textures. The feet look great as well with Godzilla's giant layered toes looking great. The spines themselves have a sort of rough texture to them as well. The tail pieces also have really nice texturing, even on the bottom of the tail, which is cool. The arms look pretty good. The shoulders have those nice rough scales on them, that oyster-like scale pattern going on, and then the elbows do have the Godzilla spikes sticking off. The hands themselves look a little small, and I don't love the hand position as it makes it look like Godzilla has no thumbs. It makes it look like he only has fingers and no thumbs. It is clear to me holding this and looking at it that this is an adaptation of the Bandai Movie Monster series mold. It feels very similar to the Movie Monster series figure, just with a lot of that figure's detailing smoothed out in favor of articulation. So if you don't know, that's one of the main reasons that they make these figures so smooth. It's so that Godzilla can articulate and run his arms against his body and run the legs and flip them around and such. That won't scratch up on the figure. I don't know why the front of the chest would be so similarly smoothed out, but that's one of the main reasons they do that. It's also just cheaper when you're adding this much articulation. It's cheaper to not make as detailed of a sculpt. It's how this figure can hang out in the $20 price range. range. $20 a little crazy considering back in the day that got you a full NECA, and this is nowhere near NECA figure quality, but it's a different world we live in. This is a different world. This figure is going to be differently priced. Generally running at stores, these figures run anywhere from about $17 to $25, so not the worst. I do appreciate an articulated figure being on that cheap of a scale, but yeah, 20 bucks, that used to get you a full NECA, and this is nowhere near NECA quality. As for the paint job, Godzilla is a matte gray overall. It's a very Godzilla -1 styled gray. Again, this is very, very similarly painted to the Bandai Movie Monster Series Godzilla -1. You do have some very nice brown highlights going through the shoulders, on the face, on the chest, running down the body, on the legs. It's pretty subtle, but it is there. The toenails are painted this kind of off greenish color. I think the fingernails are painted the same. The face itself, the eyes are painted white with the orange iris and black pupils, both looking in generally the right direction. Godzilla's got these little white teeth and then a very nice pink mouth. There's no real other painting going on Godzilla, no painting on the spines or anything like that, but that's kind of -1 accurate. It is a very glossy figure, which is one thing that kind of holds it back. I don't love the glossy figures, but it's all right. It's pretty good. It's definitely one of those ones that, like, looking at it on this camera, I can kind of hardly tell he has brown. He looks like he's purely gray. When I hold him into a light, like you can see, I'm putting him into the beams of God back here. In real life with my own two eyes, it really accentuates those brown highlights. As for articulation, Godzilla has one ball joint in the tip of the tail, one in the mid-tail, one at the base of the tail. His legs can kick up and swing all the way around. Because it's a ball joint, the legs can also come out like this, which is nice, and go in. In the legs, you have a joint at the knee as well, so the knee can bend in and kick out. Not a ton, but it can do it a little bit. The feet can spin all the way around on their own respective ball joints, which is nice. The arms can do the same. They can swing all the way around. They can also kind of come out as well as be brought in, which is really nice to be able to have this ability with the shoulders. The elbow can extend about this far. It can bend in about this far, and it can also rotate around independently. The hand is also on one of those double ball joints. It can kind of come out and go in and then also spin all the way around, which is really nice. As for the neck can spin all the way around. The mouth can also open about this far, close about that far. He can look up about this far and look down about that far. So very wide range of articulation. That's the best part of this figure line. It's what makes it stand out. These figures have a really solid range of articulation. In total, I count 17 points of articulation, which is, again, fantastic for this price range. The literally only other piece of articulation I think you could possibly add is one at the torso, but I'm kind of glad they didn't because I think it would have disrupted the sculpt a lot more. Like Super 7 can get away with that. I don't know if this figure line can. On the whole, very nice. And that's also what brings me to my big fear. He does come with an accessory, and it's this atomic breath piece, which would go in his mouth and be firing the beam out. Now, from experience, I had so much trouble getting Godzilla 2004's mouthpiece out for my review of him. Straight up, I'm just not gonna put it in. It just took too much work. It's the same exact atomic breath piece used for the Godzilla 2004. It is identical. It's that same translucent blue plastic, which I do think is pretty sick. It looks pretty cool, but it also looks like weirdly 8-bit textured. It just doesn't look like Godzilla's atomic breath texture to me. I love the explosion out there at the end. It's also hollow so that it can stand and it doesn't weigh the figure down, but it does have the -1 mouth attached to the bottom, which I do appreciate. It should have been turquoise. You know, Godzilla -1's atomic breath is more turquoisey than blue in the movie, but to each their own. As for our figure comparisons, let's start out with that Godzilla 2004. You can see they're the same size. They look really nice next to each other, squaring off against each other. You've got the best fighter of all of the Godzillas standing off against one of the slowest Godzillas we've seen to date. 2004 would wreck my boy -1. But they look fantastic. You know, I actually think that there's a big upgrade in the Godzilla -1 versus the 2004 Godzilla, and the overall sculpt, the overall texture, and everything like that. I do think that this -1 is a better figure than the Godzilla 2004. But there they are. Actually, I'm so happy that they are doing this Bandai Namco line. I really like articulated action figures. I think it's fantastic that kids get to have access to these. It was just something that I really missed growing up, and so this is awesome. I'm very, very happy about this. Comparing him to Playmates, he's a lot smaller than the Playmates Godzillas are, but I do think the Playmates ones, they're just a little more classic. The larger size is a lot more fun to play with, that 6-inch scale. You can play with more other figures in scale with it. There is less articulation on the Playmates ones, which I really appreciate the Bandai one having all the articulation. I also think the Bandai one generally has a deeper sculpt, except they kind of both lack in texturing and detailing on the chests, which is interesting, but there are some areas on the new Bandai Namco one that really outshine the Playmates one. The best part of the Playmates one is they're just cheaper. So here's the Bandai Movie Monster Series Godzilla -1, and the lineage is so clear here to me. They took the same sculpt of the Bandai Movie Monster Series Godzilla, they added some points of articulation, they kind of smoothed out some of the areas on it, and that's that's how we get from one figure to the next. They use almost identical shades of gray. The new one is just a little darker because it's a darker plastic. They also use almost identical highlights in the same areas, same shade of highlighting. The eyes look identical from one figure to the next. Additionally, both figures use the same pink gummy mouth. You can see the Bandai Namco one is a little smaller than the Movie Monster series. I'd say they're about as worth it as each other. Like if you want an articulated figure, I'd go for this one. If you want one with a better sculpt, then I'd go with this one, the Bandai one. I'd also say they should generally be priced around the same. I think that this Bandai Movie Monster series Godzilla, who is supposed to be priced in the $10 price range, is very worth his price. This one, who I would say should be around the $10 to $15 price range, I'd say is worth the $10 to $15 price range. 20 bucks, I could also say. I wouldn't go much past 20 for this. They look great next to each other. I like it a lot. Finally, here's the huge dude. Here's the Super 7 Godzilla -1. You can see them standing off against each other. Super 7's obviously dwarfs this new one. I just wanted to show it off because they do complement each other really well and that they both have a really wide range of articulation, and it kind of represents the full scale. You know, we go from Bandai, who's the lower end figures, to this Bandai Namco one, which I would say is lower to mid end, and then this Super 7 one, which is a high end figure. So Super 7 Ultimate's Godzilla -1, I think it's a fantastic figure, and you can see those two standing off against each other looking actually pretty cool. They complement each other pretty well. I feel like the Bandai Namco one is the Super 7 Ultimates for children, if that makes sense. Like, this is a great one for kids. So the new Bandai Namco Godzilla -1 articulated action figure. What do I think of it? Sculpt is pretty good. The paint job is decent. The articulation is fantastic for the price range. It does come with an atomic breath accessory, although those things were notoriously hard to get in. I haven't tried it, so I'm kind of judging him based on the other one, which may be a little unfair, but it's not wanting to pop out easy. So that's already an indication that it's going to be very similar to the Godzilla 2004. I'm going to give this guy, for the price range, for the type of figure it is, a really solid 8 out of 10. I think it's pretty awesome. Of course, I could use a deeper texture, and of course, I would prefer if that atomic breath accessory just plugged into the mouth so that I didn't have to go through a whole ordeal if I wanted him to be shooting his beam, but I highly recommend this to kids and to collectors who don't want to spend too much on an articulated Godzilla -1. Pretty awesome. Do you have the Bandai Namco Godzilla -1 articulated action figure? If so, comment below and let me know what you think of it. I'd love to hear your thoughts down below. As always, I want to give a huge thank you to my patrons over on Patreon. It is through the support of the patrons on Patreon that I'm able to review figures like this for you in the first place. If you want to support the Patreon, you can use the link in the description below where you can get early access to content, access to the Discord community, and more. And if that's not your thing, please consider joining as a channel member. Thank you guys all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I will see you all next time for the next one. D-Man out.